Space Mountain. Talk about the epitome of a classic Disney thrill ride. Whether you've been to Walt Disney World or Disneyland just one time or 100 times, there's a good chance you've probably experienced the fun and wild thrills of Tomorrowland's headliner attraction. But what exactly is the fabled history behind this fan-favorite roller coaster? And why is it so beloved by so many? Well, in this video, I'll be discussing the fascinating lore and history behind my favorite Disney attraction as we celebrate 50 years of memorable galactic thrills on this time-tested Disney experience. And so, with all that out of the way, let's get straight into it.
Before our preview of Tomorrowland, I'd like to read these few words of dedication. A vista into a world of wondrous ideas, signifying man's achievement, a step into the future, with predictions of constructive things to come. Tomorrow offers new frontiers in science, adventure, and ideals, the atomic age, the challenge of outer space, and the hope for a peaceful and unified world.
Our story begins back in 1955 with the opening of Disneyland. Disneyland opened its doors to the world in Anaheim, California on July 17, 1955, and was nothing short of an instant success. However, even with its massive success, there were many parts of the park that were originally rushed during the construction process, leaving Walt with a longing sense of discontent. But if there's anything that we know about Walt Disney, it's that he never stopped thinking and dreaming. With Walt's open and optimistic mindset about Disneyland's future, he looked for an opportune area in the park where he could invest and improve. He ultimately settled on an empty plot of land right in between Tomorrowland and Fantasyland. And in 1957, just 2 years after the park had opened, work began on 3 new headliner attractions for the park. This included the Disneyland monorail system and submarine voyage in Tomorrowland, and the Matterhorn bobsleds roller coaster in Fantasyland. All 3 attractions opened together on June 14, 1959, during an event called the Second Opening of Disneyland. But by far the highlight of these 3 new attractions was the Matterhorn bobsleds, which instantly became the most popular attraction in the park. The Matterhorn was Disney's original thrill ride and roller coaster, and just like many of the coasters that would come after it, has stood the test of time for decades in the park's history. Fast forward to 1965 for Disneyland's 10th anniversary, and it was officially announced that work was underway for a complete revamp of Tomorrowland. Walt was initially discontent with Tomorrowland ever since it debuted, and as I said before, it was rushed from the beginning, even with the addition of the monorail and submarine voyage. The initial plans to bring Tomorrowland to Walt's original vision included a multitude of new attractions, one of which was a high-speed indoor roller coaster themed to space travel. The attraction, originally called Space Voyage, began development shortly after the 1964 to 1965 New York World's Fair and was designed by legendary Disney Imagineer John Hench. From its early inception, Space Voyage would be a 4-track roller coaster in the dark with controlled lighting and projections to simulate space travel. The idea was originally pitched to Walt, and he reportedly loved it. Sadly, Walt Disney passed away the following year in 1966, but work still continued on the Tomorrowland overhaul. Finally, in the summer of 1967, Disneyland's Tomorrowland transformation was officially earmarked as complete with the addition of a staggering 4 new attractions. This included the Carousel of Progress from the 1964 to 1965 New York World's Fair, the Rocket Jets, the People Mover, and Adventures Through Inner Space. Sadly, the vision for a space-themed roller coaster never made it off the drawing board at Disneyland, but that was all about to change with the opening of Walt Disney World in Florida just a few years later.
Walt Disney World is a tribute to the philosophy and the life of Walter Elias Disney, and to the talents, the dedication, and the loyalty of the entire Disney organization that made Walt Disney's dream come true. May Walt Disney World bring joy and inspiration and new knowledge to all who come to this happy place. A magic kingdom where the young at heart of all ages can laugh and play and learn together. Dedicated this 25th day of October, 1971.
Walt Disney World opened in Orlando, Florida on October 1st, 1971, and just like its California predecessor, was an immediate smash hit. However, when the Magic Kingdom opened, most of the attractions were simply just duplicates of the ones you could find out in Disneyland, with few differences. Believe it or not, there were only 3 opening day attractions that were original to the Magic Kingdom. This included the Country Bear Jamboree in Frontierland, the Hall of Presidents in Liberty Square, and the Mickey Mouse Revue in Fantasyland. As such, as the Magic Kingdom completed its first year of operation, it was clear that not only was there a need for more original attractions, but for more thrilling ones as well. To meet guest demand, Disney went back to the drawing board and back in history in search of some inspiration. The Imagineers eventually landed on the formerly abandoned idea of a space-themed roller coaster that was originally slated for Disneyland. And with the green light from then CEO Don Tatum, the Imagineers officially broke ground on the newly named Space Mountain on December 15, 1972, at the Magic Kingdom.
Boys and girls, we proudly present Space Mountain.
After just over 2 years of construction, Space Mountain opened its doors to guests on January 15, 1975 as Walt Disney World's first ever roller coaster and thrill ride. Standing at a whopping 183 feet tall and 300 feet wide in diameter, Imagineer John Hench designed Space Mountain to look like a truly modern and futuristic, yet timeless piece of architecture. Its sleek and unique design comes from the supporting beams of the building being located on the outside rather than on the inside. In fact, Space Mountain became such a smash hit at Walt Disney World that a second version opened at Disneyland just 2 years later in the summer of 1977, finally fulfilling Walt's original vision for Disneyland's Tomorrowland. The coaster has also been duplicated in Disney's international parks as well, including Paris, Hong Kong, and Tokyo.
Jettison Disneyland 1, Space Mountain Code 2, clear for takeoff.
Instrumentation.
Instrumentation, go.
Propulsion.
Go.
Facility.
Go.
Electrical.
Go.
All personnel, clear the launch platform.
Space Mountain. It could only happen at Disneyland.
Experience it now.
But back to Disney World Space Mountain. With advances in computer control technology and an initial sponsorship of the Radio Corporation of America, Space Mountain was the first roller coaster in the entire world to be fully programmed and controlled by computers. In fact, Space Mountain is a lot of firsts in general. Not only is Walt Disney World Space Mountain the original and the first coaster to be fully operated by computers, but it was also the first fully enclosed roller coaster in the world and is currently the oldest still operational roller coaster in the entire state of Florida. So it's no wonder why Space Mountain has become one of the most historically significant Disney attractions out there. Not only has it been beloved by guests from day one, but the coaster was groundbreaking in computer technology and architectural design. Space Mountain is a time-tested and classic roller coaster that is easily a must-do when visiting Walt Disney World. Originally inspired by the success of the Matterhorn bobsleds out in Disneyland, it has become not only a Disney park staple around the world, but a true testament that no good idea at Imagineering ever truly dies. This is especially true in that it pays tribute to the original vision of Walt Disney. And now, 5 decades later, I think it's safe to say that Space Mountain has easily earned a rightful spot in both the hearts and minds of countless Disney fans around the globe. It's a piece of nostalgic Americana that has helped define so many memories at Walt Disney World, and I'm proud to call Space Mountain my favorite Disney attraction of all time. Anyway, that officially wraps up this video. If you enjoyed this deep dive look into the history of this iconic Disney roller coaster, be sure to like and subscribe for more awesome Disney related content. Click that notification bell so you never miss it whenever I upload a new video, and be sure to check out my Instagram account as well. I'll leave a link down below in the description. But what about you? What memories do you have from riding Space Mountain? Does it hold a special place in your heart? And were you surprised by any parts of its fascinating history? Let me know in the comments below. My name is Bobby, and I'll see you next time. Bye.